Let's talk about some books. Hello friends, welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about books, which quickly is becoming one of my favorite topics to talk about, like in my DMs, like in real life. I would like to be in all of the book clubs. I'm honestly like obsessed with books currently. I just feel like it's such a nice way to escape everything, and I don't know, little 16-year-old me who used to love John Green is just thriving right now. And I just think, like, there's just such a community of readers, and I love it. I was at my friend's birthday the other day, and her friend, who I'm like obviously kind of friends with, was like, oh my god, have you read this? And I was like, yes, and we had a good chat about it, and I was like, this is so much fun. So doing these videos to me is extra fun because I just get to ramble about all the books that I have read. So I'm very excited. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Kirsty. I'm 25. I live in Adelaide with my dog, clearly, my husband, and my beautiful 8-month-old daughter. I pretty much do vlogs every few days. I basically vlog like Monday to Friday and then split that into 2 videos. And then I do goal setting videos, my book videos, and some cloth nappy / mum content as well. So lots of content. If any of those sorts of things interest you, feel free to subscribe and you'll be seeing a lot of me because I upload all the time, between 2 and 3 times a week, and I'm just having the best time. So let's get into the books I read in February. So the first book I read in Feb was a book that I actually started in like December, and I finally finished it in February. It took me a long time, and unfortunately I had to give it like a 3-star because the ending got quite good, but it took me forever to get into it. And that is All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I know, big shock. That is by far the lowest result any of her books have had from me so far. Most of her books generally are like a 4 to 5 star for me. So for this to be like just a 3, and I mean it would have been a 2 if the ending hadn't been good. I'm not sure fully why I didn't love this book, but it was very slow. It was 2 parallel storylines, which I found an interesting concept. One was this couple when they were in their like early 20s and they were falling in love, and one was the present and they had been married for a long time and they were struggling with infertility. Now I don't know if that was something that was a bit triggering to me and I didn't enjoy. Not that we have had any infertility problems personally. We've been very lucky. Both times we got pregnant. If you're not aware, we got pregnant and I miscarried, and then we got pregnant again and had my daughter Harper. So I've been very lucky to get pregnant very easily, so I don't think infertility is something that would be triggering to me, but maybe it was and I didn't even really realize at the time. But it was just sad. The main girl in this book was just super miserable, which is totally understandable. They had been trying for a baby for years and years, and she really struggled to be intimate with her husband because all she thought about was negative pregnancy tests and getting her period, and they just weren't really intimate anymore, and it was just really sad. The parallel to that was them falling in love, which I think was meant to then, you know, be a good contrast and have like the happy and the hard, which I thought would be like a good concept. But I don't know, it took me a long time to get into it, like literally weeks. I would go back and forth reading it, and I just didn't, it just didn't grab me. The last maybe like 80 pages were really good, and I was like, oh, this is suddenly really upbeat and fast and like a bit more page turnery, but it took me a very long time to get there. So would I recommend this book? No, not necessarily, but I do know it's so many people's like favorite book, and they would rate it really high, and like so many people rate it like a 4 or 5 stars. So I guess that's the beauty of books, is it's so personal and everyone has different opinions, and that's what I enjoy about books. But for me, it was definitely not there. The second book I read was Maybe in Another Life by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this also disappointed me, unfortunately. This was also 2 parallel stories. The story starts out with this girl Hannah, and she moves home to LA after years and years of moving around. She basically is like hopped around her whole life and lived in different states in America. She then moves back to LA after having an affair with this man, and decides like home is where she needs to be right now. She moves back to LA, moves in with her best friend. Then there comes a crossroad where basically she either does one thing or she does the other, and that's where the story splits. And in one of those parallels, it's like something quite big happens. I don't know, it's hard to explain, I don't want to ruin the story. But basically, there's two parallels happening the whole time, and they sort of intertwine and cross over. But I just didn't really like it. I don't know why. I gave it 3 stars as well. It wasn't a bad book. Like, it's not that I didn't like it, but I just was a bit boring, and I got a bit confused with the parallels because quite often they would mention the same things in both, and I had to then try and remember which storyline I was in. And because obviously it's all the same characters in the same storylines, in the different storylines, sometimes the lines just got a bit blurred for me, and I had to like double check which storyline I was on. I don't know, it was just kind of slow. Not that much really happened. I don't really know which storyline I liked better. I don't know, it was interesting, but it was basically like very much a sliding door moment of like one decision changes your whole life basically, which I did find really interesting. I liked the concept of like one move changes your whole life. Like, it was really cool in that aspect, and I enjoyed parts of it, and there was like some really good character development, and I liked the characters. It just wasn't a page turner for me, so I got a 3 stars. But I am excited to read some of her other books because she is really, really highly recommended in the book world and has all these amazing books. I think I'm gonna read 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo soon because that keeps coming up and everyone keeps telling me to read it, so I think I'm gonna have to give that a go. And I did really like the writing. I thought Taylor Jenkins Reid was a great writer. I just didn't love the story. The next book I read honestly put me in an absolute reading slump. The book It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey, and honestly, I kind of hated it. I messaged Rachel Catherine about it, told her I hated it. I told Ella that I hated it, and I just really struggled. Ella didn't even finish it because she felt the same as me, but I had to finish it because I managed to get through like enough of it that I was like, I can't stop now. It just was slow, and it really put me in a reading slump. It's a good thing the next book was so good, because this book, I don't know. It's about a influencer, Piper, and she was banished from her LA lifestyle because basically her life was funded by her stepdad, who was super rich. Basically, she never had to work. She just went to all these rich parties and did some social media photos, and that was it. And everyone just adored her. She had millions of followers just for looking hot, basically. She then, gets banished and gets sent back to where her birth dad lived, and it's where she was born, and where her mum had raised her and her sister when they were kids. And then once her dad died, her mum then moved them to LA, basically. So she'd never been to this place before. They owned a bar that they had kept that was in her dad's name, or like that he had left to them. Her sister then decides to join her as well to like help her and, you know, be a good sister. And so they go to this town together, and basically she falls for this fisherman guy, and it's really boring. I wish I liked it more because it's got really high reviews and I feel like everyone loves it and it's all over social media, but I just found it so boring and very lust driven, which is just not my style. I much prefer like romance over lust, and I just feel like all they wanted to do the whole time was bone each other, and that's just not my kind of love story. Like, I don't know, I just wasn't that into it. The next book I read in February was Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. Now, if you remember from my last review book, my last book video, I read The Hating Game by Sally Thorne and did not really enjoy it. I found it really boring. But Rachel Catherine said Second First Impressions was good. She didn't like The Hating Game, did like this, so I was like, fingers crossed. I feel like we have very similar style, so maybe. I decided to read it, and I loved it. It was very sweet. I gave it a 4-star. I just thought it was very like sweet, nothing crazy exciting. It wasn't a massive page turner in the way that like nothing I wasn't like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? But it was just so sweet. It was about a girl called Ruthie. She was in her like mid-20s, worked and lived in this retirement village, and basically she was just gonna end up being there forever. She was an old soul. She was happy to just work there forever and didn't really do much with her life. She then meets this guy, Teddy, who basically insults her, and they have a really terrible like first impression. And then it turns out that his dad actually owns the retirement village, and Teddy is being sent there and has to work there basically. So they start this friendship, and obviously they then sort of fall for each other, and it's just really sweet, very wholesome, a very happy read after having like multiple not very good reads in a row. I feel like I had 3 in a row that were not that good, and then this just got me, and it was really sweet, and I just loved the characters. Like Teddy was so, oh, I just loved him. And they have this friend Mel, and she's just like fun and bubbly as well, and it was just really sweet. So if you're wanting like an easy, nice read, it was just very wholesome and easy to read and happy, and I highly recommend it. So that was a 4-star read for me. And the last book that I read in February, I actually read more than I thought, which I'm stoked about. I thought I was pushing to get 4 books, but I read 5. Go me. I actually just finished today, was Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino, and it was so good. This was a 5-star read for me. The first 5-star I feel like I've had forever since I read Reminders of Him. And it was just beautiful. It was sad, it was happy, it was just good. I loved it. I don't have any flaws. It's basically about these 2 kids who lived together in really, really horrible circumstances. They were neighbors and they were friends their whole life. They really just had each other and were like young and in love at the age of like 15 and 16, and then they ended up being separated because of certain reasons, and basically they then don't see each other for 12 years. The way they come back into each other's life is then really, really interesting. You wonder sort of what's happened in between for both of them, and it's just really good. I don't want to give away too much more than that, because I feel like it's the sort of book you just have to read, because it's just good. But I would do a bit of a trigger warning. There is some like child neglect, child abuse situations, and some drug situations as well. So that is sort of all I will say about that one, but I highly recommend reading it. So if you do, please, please, please let me know, because I would love to chat to you about it. That one I actually read because Georgia Richards was reading it, who's not a reader, who's become a reader, and Rachel had given it to her to read, and she liked it, and I was like, you know what, if someone who's not much of a reader enjoyed it, I'm gonna give it a go. And it just ended up being so good, and I just loved it. So I just highly, highly recommend. And that is the 5 books that I read in February, in a short month, mind you. So I'm stoked. I just am having the best time. I have a pretty good TBR for March. I'm trying really hard to read more Kindle Unlimited books due to the fact that I'm trying to save money and not buy books like every week. But it's not going very well, I'm not gonna lie. Please let me know if you have read any of the books that I read, if you have different opinions, the same opinions. I love talking about books and about people, like what people think of things. So feel free to DM me or comment down below. I love to have a chat with you guys. I have just the best time. Hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble about books for another month. I will see you again next month for another book related video. Until then, I will be having many a vlog and other bits and pieces of content. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you are not already, because I upload all the damn time. And I will see you in my next video, which will be very, very soon. Bye.